Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're cutting right through the luxury marketing hype to conduct a hard-hitting, entirely numbers-driven appraisal of the new Mercedes-Benz Places Binghatti City project. We're diving straight into the raw data, the developer's actual track record, and the real financial mechanics of this massive launch in Dubai.
Okay, let's jump right into the agenda. We'll be looking at the branded city master plan, layouts and launch pricing, the summer 40/60 promotion, evaluating Binghatti developers, and finally wrapping up with risks and holding strategy.
Starting with Section 1, the branded city master plan, and defining this wild 30 billion dirham vision. Because frankly, there's a huge point of confusion in the market right now about what this asset actually is.
So a lot of folks hear Mercedes-Benz Places, and boom, their mind goes straight to that single, ultra-luxury skyscraper right in the heart of downtown Dubai. Well, actually, scratch that. That is not what we are looking at today. We are analyzing Binghatti City. This is a sprawling, 10 million square foot master plan suburban community out in Nad Al Sheba 1, right in the Meydan corridor. It's essentially a city within a city, anchored by a central grand promenade and featuring 12 architecturally unified towers. It's a completely different beast, backed by an estimated 30 billion dirham investment value. And with that vision comes massive, massive scale. We're talking about over 13,000 residential units planned across these 12 towers. Now, the whole community is deeply infused with Mercedes-Benz's sensual purity design philosophy. You know, aerodynamic forms, futuristic flowing architecture, and precision geometry totally inspired by legendary concept cars like the Maybach and the AMG Vision. It's gorgeous, but as an investor, you really need to keep that 13,000 number tucked in the back of your mind. We're definitely going to come back to why that matters for your holding strategy a bit later.
Moving right along to Section 2, layouts and launch pricing, where we weigh those luxury features against some pretty compact spaces.
So while the entry prices absolutely command a luxury premium, the actual footprints of these units are highly compact. A studio starts at roughly 361 square feet. To put that into perspective, that's barely bigger than a multi-car garage for an actual Mercedes S-Class. A one-bedroom hovers around the 600 to 632 square foot mark. You're very clearly paying for the brand, the location, and a lifestyle, not sprawling indoor space. But here's the really important part. Notice the massive difference between the standard list price and the early expression of interest, or EOI price. Securing a unit during that limited EOI window instantly builds a huge margin of equity safety right into your investment. By capturing a 15 to 20% discount on day one, you're essentially insulating your capital against any potential local market bumps during the construction phase. For a mega project of this size, buying at the standard baseline price is just a no-go for a savvy investor. You've got to get that discount.
Now, to make up for those compact layouts, the developer is absolutely loading these units with world-class ultra-luxury amenities. We're talking private swimming pools literally right on your balcony for select units, plus massive sky infinity pools with completely unobstructed views of the Burj Khalifa and high-end acoustic treatments to keep things tranquil despite the urban density. The entire value proposition is hyper-focused on prestige finishes and cutting-edge smart home tech embedded right in the walls.
All right, Section 3, the summer 40/60 promotion. Let's model out the cash flow.
What's it actually going to cost you to hold this asset while it's being built? Well, under the limited time summer 40/60 promo running until August 2026, your capital stack is heavily deferred. You put 20% down when you book. Then you pay another 20% in staggered interest-free monthly installments while they build it. And here's the best part. A massive 60% is deferred entirely until handover, which is currently targeted for Q2 2028. It keeps your pre-handover cash requirements incredibly low.
Furthermore, this promo throws in a 4% Dubai land department fee waiver. Usually, every single property transaction in Dubai requires this 4% registration fee completely upfront. By absorbing this for you, the developer is handing you exactly 50,760 dirhams in cold, hard cash savings on a baseline studio. On a one-bedroom, that direct savings jumps to over 86,000 dirhams. This specific payment structure is the true financial engine of the whole deal. Why does this matter so much? Well, standard off-plan structures in prime zones typically demand a 70-30 split, meaning you have to fork over 70% of your money before the building even exists. By only requiring 40% up front and during the build, international buyers can lock in a premium appreciating asset without completely draining their liquid reserves. Plus, it lets you delay securing mortgage financing until 2028, neatly sidestepping all of today's interest rate volatility. Which brings us to Section 4,
Evaluating Binghatti developers. It's time to weigh their financial strength against operational reality.
Because hey, a payment plan is only as good as the developer actually building the thing, right? On paper, Binghatti's balance sheet is an absolute fortress of liquidity. They just posted a record 2025 net profit of 3.58 billion dirhams. That's a 96% increase year over year. Even more crucial for off-plan buyers, they've successfully tapped international capital markets, issuing two $500 million Islamic bonds that were massively oversubscribed by institutional investors. They've also got very solid credit ratings from Moody's and Fitch. So from a pure default risk perspective, your capital is parked with a highly capitalized, heavily vetted institution.
But, and this is a big but, when we pair that corporate data with grassroots consumer feedback, we see a very real operational bottleneck. If you listen to investors on the ground right now, Binghatti is currently facing some chronic handover delays on a few of their recent mid-market towers. The chatter points out projects like Starlight, which had a March 2026 target but is sitting at roughly 63% completion, and reports suggest they have multiple active projects sitting past their original handover dates.
It creates a truly fascinating paradox. You see, Binghatti uses a vertically integrated model, which means they keep design, engineering, and construction all in-house. Historically, that made them lightning fast, but as they've aggressively scaled up, that same model seems to be struggling under the weight of maintaining timelines. So the main takeaway here is clear. Your money is safe thanks to their giant balance sheet, but you absolutely must factor in a high probability that your timeline to completion, and therefore your timeline to actually generating rental yield, might be heavily tested.
Finally, Section 5, Risks and Holding Strategy. Let's talk about navigating a 13,000-unit supply.
Because investing isn't just about buying, it's about knowing exactly how and when to exit. This is literally the multi-million dirham question. How do you protect your resale value and your rental yields when 12 and 999 other units are being built right next door in the exact same master plan? If even a fraction of those buyers decide to flip their properties on completion at the same time, it creates a massive supply glut that could absolutely crush secondary market prices.
So here is the precise execution plan based on the data. First off, you absolutely have to capture that 15 to 20% equity margin by using the early EOI discount. Do not pay list price, no way. Second, unit selection is everything. You want to pick view-protected, outward-facing units and specifically look at the Phase 1 towers. Why? Because Phases 2 and 3 are going to be under construction for years. You need an outward-facing unit to avoid the future construction noise and dust, making your place highly rentable while the rest of the city finishes up. Third, lock in a 3 to 5 year holding strategy. Use that 40-60 payment plan to keep your cash outlay low, and plan to hold the unit for a few years post-handover. Give that massive initial supply wave time to stabilize before you try to sell.
By following that structured approach, you insulate your capital and position your specific unit to stand out in a crowded market. But as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought for your portfolio. Dubai is currently seeing a massive influx of branded residences. So you have to ask yourself, does the undeniable luxury and global prestige of the Mercedes-Benz Grand carry enough weight to overcome the sheer gravity of 13,000 new units entering the supply chain in one single location? It's an incredibly fascinating dynamic and one that's ultimately going to define the success of Binghatti City. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep learning.